Oh my gosh. Hello, my friend. And it's Charlotte here. And cheers. Hello. Happy day to you. And just welcome back to another episode of Pop Pretty on Purpose. And today, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I have a super special treat in store for you today. You are just going to love, can I say love, my young and beautiful guest that I'm bringing on here today to give us some tips and advice on the importance of self-care. But before I introduce you to Miss Olivia, I would love for you to drop me a comment in the chat below and tell me, what does self-care look like for you? I would just love to hear. And by the way, the comments are where you and I chat. And I'd love, I know Olivia will be interested too in knowing how you practice self-care. I would also very much appreciate you hitting the subscribe button below and ring the little bell, because when you do that, it will give you notifications as to when I upload another YouTube video for some valuable content for you. So, oh my goodness, without further ado, I want to introduce you to my special young guest today. And are you ready for her? Here she comes. Welcome, Miss Olivia.
Hi. Oh my goodness, Charlotte, so much for having me on here. I'm thrilled to be able to do the speech, and I hope that my words can resonate with somebody or with anyone that's watching this.
I love that. Thank you, Olivia. That just touches my heart right there, because you're so about other people. You're a very other-centered person, and I love that about you.
Thank you.
So, I just want to share with you ladies how Olivia and I know each other. Oh my goodness. I am involved. Her mom and I are very good friends, and we're both involved in a nonprofit service club in our community called Seroptimus. And you may or may not have heard of Seroptimus, but the Latin word means best for women. And it is a service club that is all about empowering women and girls. And we do that through our dream programs. And our dream programs are targeted with education in mind, and all kinds of good stuff. Well, Miss Olivia here was a guest speaker for us on our Dream It, Be It high school program. That is a curriculum for girls in high school who are, getting ready for the next step in their life. And, Olivia really impressed me. You really impressed me, Olivia, with your Dream It, Be It presentation on self-care. It was incredible. So I benefited so much by your presentation that I wanted to share you with the YouTube world here, and just have you bless so many other people. So gosh, I'm just gonna get backstage for now and then take it away, and I'll come back on when you are wrapping it up. But thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I forgot. I do want to add one thing about Miss Olivia. Oh my goodness. I told you guys that she was young, and you can see that she's beautifully young here. Miss Olivia is a senior in high school, about to graduate, and she is receiving acceptance letters in the mail right now as we speak from universities that she's applied to. We live here in California, and Olivia, if I remember right, you are pursuing a degree in psychology. Is that right?
Yes.
And you are like at the top of your class. I don't know where you're going to land. I know you're doing very, very well. Do you want to share? Have you received some acceptance letters so far from universities?
So I've only gotten one so far. I applied to 4 UCs. And a few days ago on the 5th, I got an acceptance and a scholarship for UC Irvine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so thank you.
That's so awesome.
I'm very excited about it. I'm doing more research and getting more attached to the school. So that's the first response that I've gotten. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm thinking UC Irvine is a pretty good response to get, and if you didn't get any others, you are landing like on the moon. I mean, that is
Thank you.
wonderful. I'm so excited for you.
Thank
Well, I
you.
know many more acceptance letters are going to be coming your way because you are just a committed student. You've worked really, really hard. It's paying off for you, and so kudos. Anyway,
Thank you.
all right. So I'm going to let you take it away. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Hello, as Charlotte introduced, I'm Olivia, senior in high school. I'm 17 years old, and I've done the speech before, so I always try to add a few things in there just so that it resonates more with the current audience. And this speech is on self-care. So just as a disclaimer before I actually begin, I wanted to emphasize the fact that self-care is all about making mistakes and figuring out what works best for you, because I put some examples in the speech here, but really they're just to help establish your foundation and so that you can figure out what works for you. I want your self-care pursuits to be most effective for you personally, and so feel free to individualize any of this information to the extent that you see fit. Okay, so I've broken this speech down into physical, mental, and emotional self-care. So starting with physical, the first point that I put was to make sure that you're eating well. And I put well because, well, I mean, of course you want to try to eat healthy, but also you want to focus on the foods that make you feel good and that give you enough energy to continue about your day, however rigorous your schedule is. One thing that I like to do is think of food as value. So if it's hard for you to think of food as calories, and or if that's something that you fixate on, just think of it as value. Think of eating the food that will give you the most energy to get through your day, and think of it as replenishing your body instead of a chore that you have to do in order to keep functioning. Another rule of thumb is that something is better than nothing. So again, I don't know how rigorous your schedule is, but if you're busy, if you have to wake up early, and if you have a go schedule, then you're able to just eat something on your way to work or as you're walking out the door. And it just helps to still have something instead of running on empty, because then you won't be able to function as well. So you can eat while you're on your way somewhere, or even if it's just too time consuming to make a sandwich or something like that, and you can just get the ingredients if you want, like just get some bread or some sandwich meat and then just bring it with you. And if you don't have the time or the energy to make an actual meal, then just remember that something is always better than nothing, and it will make a difference as you go about the day. Next up, I wanted to talk about hydration, because it's something that's really easy to forget about, especially if you're not used to drinking that much water, or if you're in meetings all day or anything like that. So I just wanted to remind you that hydration is really important, and that it's easier if you just have a water bottle where you are. You can have a water bottle at your desk or in the car with you or anything, and that way, even if you don't feel thirsty, you'll just catch yourself taking sips, whether you're bored or whether it just becomes a little habit. So it still helps if you take those baby steps just to get you to where you want to be. And another exciting thing is that you can dress up your water however you want, just so that it motivates you more. Like you can do infused water, you can slice up whatever you want and throw it in. You can buy all sorts of different flavor packets and just pour them in there. So there's just so many things that you can do that'll make it easier if you still see it as a chore to drink water while you're at work or at home or anything else. So it helps, like dressing up your water or individualizing it again, just helps with your motivation so that you're actually able to maintain those habits instead of getting bored with them quickly. And another point I wanted to mention was spending time outdoors. If the weather allows it, I think that it's always great to spend a few minutes at least outside every day. And you don't always have to be doing something that's really rigorous or that's strenuous. You can just go on a walk, or you could even take a book and go and read outside for a little bit. Just do anything to get fresh air. And it's something that motivates you, because you're able to get a change of scenery, especially if you're cooped inside of an office or you're home all day. You can just go outside and take a few breaths out there, just take a look at nature, do anything that helps you relax. And then that might give you a little boost of motivation in order to continue going back to work. Or even if you're not able to go outside, like let's say it's raining, or like I know last fall it was really smoky outside. So if the conditions don't allow that, or your schedule doesn't allow that, then just working by a window makes a huge difference. Like with me, with online school, I've been able to work close to a window pretty much every day. And so even if I'm not going outside, even if I don't have the time to go outside, I'm still able to see it. And that still makes a difference because it helps you feel less isolated and less separated from the nature that you want to be spending time in. And another point about physical health is sleep. And this one might be the hardest one, because if you're used to a rigorous schedule, it can be really hard to have an established bedtime, but it's always easy to have a set time to wake up. And so in order to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep that you need, you could just, again, do trial and error, figure out what works. You can take power naps, you can go to bed earlier, you can try to spend less time on a screen before you go to bed, so that way you don't feel as awake when you should be asleep. So just do whatever works for you. Figure out what amount of sleep makes you most comfortable and what bedtime makes you most comfortable. And another key point about sleep is that if you are trying to lower your caffeine intake, then I think the best way to do that is to just get more sleep. It'll help you function better. You won't have to rely on coffee. You won't have to be worried about caffeine in your health. You could just try sleeping more and then see if that gives you enough energy to function about your day with no caffeine or less caffeine. It's whatever works for you. So it's just a matter of establishing that schedule and making a habit out of it, and make sure that it's a habit that will stick with you so that you always feel refreshed when you wake up and you don't have to worry so much about drowsy mornings where you end up in a bad mood because you don't want to go and do your tasks. And moving on to mental health, my biggest point here is to figure out what thoughts make you most eager to start the day. Because as soon as you wake up, you are in charge of your mood, but it's easier to fall into a habit of like wanting to choose your bed over getting up and getting ready. So with this, I think it's all about motivation. You can even use social media to your advantage here. If you like going on Instagram or Facebook or anything, you could follow some motivational accounts that'll post videos and messages to help encourage you through your day. So that way, when you open your phone for the first time, you can get that motivation that you need before going on to doing other tasks. And you can even find those videos on your own if you go onto YouTube and if you search something, or you can play music that makes you feel good, just anything to help you gain that motivation in order to start your day. If you don't feel like using an external resource for that, then it's great to have that kind of mindset yourself. You can give yourself that enthusiasm to start your day, but you have to commit to this, because sometimes I know it's easier to kind of just shrug off enthusiasm and say like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess something good might happen today. But if you really stick with that enthusiasm and you approach the day thinking that you have so many opportunities to make it amazing and to make the day everything that you wished it would be, then those goals are more likely to become a reality. So you have to commit to that mindset. And I know it can be hard sometimes, but again, it's all trial and error. So just think about how you start your mornings. Think about what you've done in the past that you like, or ideas that you would like to try, in order to be more enthusiastic when starting your day. And this will help you avoid any negative moods that you might have been stuck in the past. Another point is to pay close attention to your schedule so that you're working in the best amount for you. So I always follow the tip that you should study or work how you eat, because you don't eat one meal every few days or at the end of the day and then just run on empty for the next few hours. You start with your breakfast and then lunch and dinner, and you pace yourself throughout the day. And that's how you should study, or that's how you should orient your work habits. You should do a little bit every now and then instead of cramming for one giant task at the end of each day or each week, or however your schedule is. You should always try to pace yourself, because that way you'll feel more productive and you will feel less stressed. And you can notice a difference if you start avoiding those kinds of crams, because it'll just be more unhealthy for you than pacing yourself and actually creating your own schedule. Another key point that's really helped me a lot is that if you are particularly dreading a task, then you just need to tell yourself to give it 2 minutes, because starting off is often the hardest part. once you get going and once you actually look at the task and start working with it for 2 minutes, then you might see that it's really not as hard as you were making it seem, or that you weren't dreading it as much as you thought you were, and that it was just a matter of starting that assignment and starting to work on it instead of opening it and then looking at how hard it is and then walking away from it. So just give yourself 2 minutes, and if you really do have a hard time with it and you don't think that you have the time or the energy to work on it at that moment, then of course you can go and take a break. Do whatever you find most beneficial. And then when you do want to return, just give it another 2 minutes. And keep going until you feel like you're able to handle the assignment. In the end, even if you don't go more than 2 minutes at a time, then each time you're still 2 minutes further than you were before. So just give yourself that time, give yourself that patience in order to see the best results and to experience less stress than you were before. Another point is to pay attention to the kind of environment that motivates you. If you're one of those people that likes a clean environment and that can't function when everything around you is just cluttered and messy, then take time to clean your environment. Take time to prepare for the tasks that you have to do. You can also listen to music and play music that makes you happy, or just have some kind of TV show in the background that you like. You can write a list before you start working so that you know each task that you have to do for the day, and then you get the satisfaction of crossing it off. You can do anything to prepare that you see fit. And if you use that to keep track of your environment and to stay on top of the area that you're working in, then you will see a difference too. You can always control your environment when you're able to be at that level-headedness, when you're able to have that calmness in order to go about your day. And it also helps to establish a routine. So you can journal in the morning or at night, or you could do stretches, you could go outside, you can do anything at any time in order to help you de-stress. Now, moving on to emotional health, my main point here is that nobody knows you better than you know yourself. You are the only person who knows how it feels to be at your worst and at your best. And sometimes those look different each day, but you are the one who has stuck with them and who has continued to make so much progress going through the hard moments. So you know yourself better than anybody else. It also helps if you try to pay attention to your emotions. And I know this might sound like an obvious statement, but really pay attention to your emotions, because that's the only way that you'll be able to learn what you like to do during those times and what helps you most. So if you're sad, you might know that you like to go and walk outside, or that you like to go and maybe look up funny videos on social media. Like, I even have a board on Instagram saved where I just keep a bunch of funny videos or cute videos, and then I go there if I'm having a bad day, and it really makes me feel a lot better. So even if I'm not having a bad day and if I'm in a good mood, I can still add to that to kind of gather resources for if I ever do have a bad day, because I know how I'll react to it, and so I'm able to prepare for that future emotion. You can do this with positive emotions too, like if you're really happy and you know that if you've just received good news, you want to call someone on the phone and talk with a loved one about it, or that you want to listen to your favorite songs, or that you like to go on drives, anything like that. So it just helps if you recognize your emotions and you recognize all of the tools that you've created for yourself, because that means you've given yourself a toolbox that you can access at any time in order to elevate those emotions or cope with them, however you see fit. And another main point that I wanted to add for emotional health is that there's really no supposed to when it comes to emotions. All emotions are valid. Something might happen and you could be angry, you could be excited, you could be stressed out or scared, anything. And those are all fine. All emotions are valid because they're just your ways of responding to a situation, and you can't always control them. So you don't have to be bummed or be stressed out because something happened and you're not reacting the way that everyone else is, or you're not reacting the way that you feel you're supposed to, because there really is no supposed to. You just need to give yourself that patience and that acceptance in order to be more in tune with your emotions and figure out whether they're healthy or not, and whether they're benefiting you or not. All right, on to some more notes that I felt were important to add for self-care. My first one is that you always deserve to be taken care of. And I know it's easy after a hard day to just do whatever brings you the least amount of stress or do whatever brings you the least amount of effort, but it pays off to pursue self-care because that's your way of coping. That's your way of establishing the person that you want to be. And that's your way of showing that you can be patient with yourself. You can be kind to yourself. A good point that I use sometimes is to see yourself as another person. Because if you picture your friend coming up to you and saying that they had a bad day and they just want to go and stay home and watch movies or something, or maybe pursue bad habits that might make them feel worse, then you can just pretend that you are the friend that you would give advice to and follow that advice the way that you hope your friend or your loved one would follow yours. Because I know it's hard to see it as yourself because you think that we judge ourselves harsher than we judge others. So just give yourself that patience that you would give someone that you really care about. And sometimes it helps to see it through that different perspective instead of judging yourself more harshly than you judge others. Another key point is about productivity and how that looks different for every single person, which I cannot stress enough. I know quarantine especially has led people to believe that they're not being productive because some people have more free time with the quarantine schedule. If you're working at home and if you're working less hours, then it can be really easy to feel like you're not being as productive as you were. But really, productivity exists on so many different levels. Even self-care is counted as productivity. And it's all about just seeing where that balance is. It can be easier to look at a finished assignment and see that as more productive than getting up and brushing your teeth. But really, it just depends on your day, and productivity is still productivity. So even if you just brush your teeth, then that's still doing something, and that's still something to be proud about. Even if it's not as great of an accomplishment as you're used to, it's an accomplishment nonetheless. And as long as you've received your own validation, then that's really all that matters. You can be proud of yourself for taking the little steps because they're still steps. And there's never a set amount of productivity, meaning that anything counts. You can be proud of the day because you've already made something out of it, and your best will vary each day. So sometimes brushing your teeth is your best, and that's fine. That's something that you can still be proud of. You don't have to worry about where you stand next to others or where you stand next to your past selves, because all you can focus on is today. And thinking in the present is what will get you the most progress in the end. Another point that I have is not to treat your phone better than you treat yourself, which is something that I heard from someone else. And I know during quarantine, it's easy to use electronics a lot more than we're used to. But in the end, you can't treat an electronic better than you treat your own body. You should recharge yourself as much, if not more, than you recharge your electronics. And sleeping does not count as recharging. That was explained to me because I thought sleeping could be recharging, but really it's just the equivalent of turning your phone off. And recharging includes the activities that really make you feel at ease and that really motivate you to continue your day. So that could be going on a walk, that could be journaling, that could be reading a book. It could be anything that you love, that you care about doing. It can be anything that makes you feel better and that doesn't make you feel drained, even if your work or other people or anything else has made you feel drained. Another key concept is that you know yourself best. There can be a lot of trial and error, and accomplishment comes in all shapes and sizes. In the end, you can reflect on the day, you can reflect on your actions and your emotions, and you decide which next steps to take. You decide what works best for you. And if you're wrong, then mistakes are still part of progress. They're not opposite ends of the spectrum. Mistakes are the building blocks that get you to where you want to be. If you're stressing about self-care, you can always try taking baby steps, because the whole point behind self-care is to make you feel relaxed. It's not an obligation that you have to do. It's just something to bring you comfort and to bring you peace. And the goal is not to stress. So if you are stressing, just try taking a step back and looking at your actions and your habits and trying to figure out how you can make it better, because there are always the opportunities to do so. And my last point is that you need to focus on yourself first. You need to take those steps to better yourself and to see your and to pursue your own internal growth, because it's not until you take those steps that you'll see your other environments start to follow the same pattern. you can see your relationships and your work life and anything else fall into place as soon as you start pursuing your own growth. Because in the end, it's just putting your own mask on first. You want to see change in your external environment, and you need to pursue your own growth if you ever want to see that change. So those are just my main points on self-care. I hope that they resonated with you, and I hope that you're able to take something out of it, or that you're looking forward to trying any of those techniques. And there are so many different ways that you can pursue self-care. So it's all about giving yourself that flexibility and giving yourself that patience, the same patience that you would give anybody else that's going through hardships or that's trying to figure out how to better themselves. So I hope that you enjoyed this speech, and thank you so much for listening.
Oh my goodness, I'm just over here beaming, Olivia. Thank you so much. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
You know, this is my second time hearing this, and I always have takeaways from it. There's so many nuggets in your message, Olivia. You're very, very gifted, and you're a blessing to others. You have
Thank
a really
you.
calm presence about you. You have so much wisdom at such a young age. And I just want to say, we are never too old to learn, and we're never too young to teach. And I'm telling you, you nailed it on the self-care. So I am so excited for anyone out there who are our listeners and our viewers. You have just got to blow up the chat for Miss Olivia. I would love for you to drop in the comments if you found what your big takeaway was. Did you find this helpful? I know you did. What did you learn? What are your nuggets? I know you've got some nuggets out there, so I would love for you to share with us in the comments, and I will certainly give that feedback to Miss Olivia. And again, I just can't thank you enough. It was just delightful having you here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with me and on my channel here. And it's just really, really a blessing, Olivia. You're a very special girl.
Thank you for having me. This means a lot. I'm glad I got this opportunity to reach out to
Oh,
you and hopefully any viewers that
right.
this resonated with.
Awesome. Awesome. I absolutely love it. Well, okay. So just a quick reminder, if you enjoyed today's episode, just know that there's more to come. I don't know if anyone will be as special as Miss Olivia, but I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you liked this content, if you'd like to see more of stuff like this. That's really helpful for me. And until next time, stay poppin'. Okay. Bye, you guys. Have a great day.